Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Friday, the 27th of September 2024. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, it was a big day for the miners and commodity players as Beijing's promise to boost the world's second largest economy helped iron ore miners, lithium players and a host of other groups. By the close, the S&P ASX 200 was up slightly to 8,212 points, with the banks detracting from all those gains made by the miners. For the week, the bourse was flat, though that hides the fact that the mining companies have surged and the banks have fallen back. On Friday, BHP, Fortescue Metals Group and Rio Tinto all rose more than 3%, while National Australia Bank and Westpac were down 2%, while ANZ and Commonwealth Bank were also lower. CSL, Woodside and Telstra also fell more than 1%. In corporate news, Endeavour Group Chief Executive Steve Donohue, he'll step down after 30 years with the company, 6 years as CEO. In response, the liquor retailer's share price fell 3%. The competition regulator said it remains concerned about the proposed acquisition of Namoi Cotton by Singapore-based Olam Agri Holdings because of the multiple linkages between Olam and Louis Dreyfus Company, which is another key cotton player. Story number 2, Treasurer Jim Chalmers in China says he urged safe and professional conduct of all militaries in a meeting with senior Chinese officials in Beijing today. The Chinese economy was the focus of Dr. Chalmers' visit, the first by an Australian treasurer to the country in 7 years, and it came a week after China's national broadcaster released footage of an RAAF plane being harassed by a PLA fighter jet. Dr. Chalmers said his trip to China is an important step in maintaining a key relationship which is full of complexity and opportunity. Earlier in the day, he warned that further deterioration to the Chinese economy would wreak havoc on Australia, with a drop of 1 percentage point in their GDP growth, inflicting a $6 billion loss on domestic output. Summing up his trip, Dr. Chalmers posted on X, "Re-establishing dialogue with China is another important step towards stabilising our economic relationship." Story number 3, the competition regulator has published its interim report for its supermarkets inquiry, a report that outlines what the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has heard from interest groups. It says that supermarket retailing in Australia is an oligopoly, with Woolworths and Coles accounting for 67% of supermarket retail sales nationally. Aldi accounts for about 9%. Metcash supplied independent supermarkets, think IGA, about 7%. The ACCC says that oligopolistic market structures can limit incentives to compete vigorously on price. Deputy Chair Mick Keogh said, "We see Woolworths and Coles offer a broadly similar experience to customers through largely undifferentiated product ranges, pricing at similar levels, and similar non-price offerings, including loyalty programs." The report says that food price growth is largely in line with inflation over the last 5 years, up about 20%. Over that period, consumers, though, are increasingly comparing prices online before buying. They struggle to compare products, though, and are losing trust in sale price claims by the supermarkets. Meanwhile, many grocery suppliers have told the ACCC that they sometimes receive prices below the cost of production and have little choice but to agree to highly unfavourable terms, with these terms being subject to ongoing changes by the major retailers. Story number 4, Star Entertainment began trading again today, the first time since the end of August, having finally published its 2024 financial year accounts, which showed a $1.7 billion loss. And it wasn't pretty, with Star's share price losing 50% on opening before finishing down 41%. The company is now worth $1.3 billion, whereas at the end of July, its market capitalisation was around $3.5 billion. Under a finance package secured this week, the Star will have access to $200 million in 2 tranches of $100 million each. The first will be available subject to conditions from next month, but the interest rate is very, very high, 13.5%. This week, the gaming group also failed to do a deal with the Queensland government over tax relief. And finally, story number 5, China's newest nuclear-powered attack submarine sank earlier this year, according to a senior US defence official. Obviously a bit embarrassing for Beijing as it seeks to expand its military capabilities. China already has the largest navy in the world with over 370 ships, and it has embarked on production of a new generation of nuclear-armed submarines, according to the Telegraph of London. An unnamed US defence official said China's new first-in-class nuclear-powered attack submarine sank alongside a pier sometime between May and June. US media reported that Chinese authorities scrambled to cover up the episode, which hasn't previously been disclosed. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 27th of September, 2024. Adam Lang, Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the weekend edition of Fear and Greed Business News. I'm Sean Elmer. Enjoy your evening.